The bar was nearly empty, save for the low hum of a jazz tune and the faint clinking of glasses. He sat there again, same stool, same drink, same distant look. The kind of look that said he'd lost something he could never replace. But that night, someone else noticed. Someone who wasn't supposed to care. A woman who had everything money could buy, except peace. And for reasons she couldn't explain, she came back the next night, just to see him again. He didn't notice her at first. His focus was on the photo inside his worn leather wallet, the corners creased, the colors fading, the little girl with wild curls and a smile that made the world feel right. Her name was Lily. She was 7, and she was the only reason he still tried. Tom worked double shifts at a construction site, picking up night work when he could, anything to keep food on the table and pay for Lily's school. He wasn't supposed to be here, not really. But tonight, after a brutal day and a letter from the landlord threatening eviction, he needed the quiet company of an empty bar. Across from him, a woman in a tailored gray coat slipped into a seat. Her presence didn't fit the place. Elegant, poised, her every movement deliberate. The bartender seemed surprised to see her. "The usual?" he asked, almost too cautiously. She nodded. "Just make it stronger tonight." Her name was Claire, CEO of a marketing firm that had skyrocketed in the last 5 years. To the world, she was an emblem of success. Polished, respected, unstoppable. But what no one saw was the loneliness that trailed her home each night to a penthouse filled with silence. She hadn't had dinner with someone who didn't need something from her in years. Her phone never stopped buzzing, yet somehow she never felt more disconnected. When she glanced over, she saw him. This man with calloused hands, his tired posture, the way he looked like he was carrying the weight of 2 lives. He didn't flirt or perform. He just existed, quietly broken. For some reason, she couldn't look away. Maybe because he didn't know who she was. Maybe because he didn't care. Their eyes met for half a second, just enough to spark something unspoken. He looked away quickly, embarrassed, like he'd invaded a world that wasn't his. But she smiled faintly, something soft and unexpected. "Rough night?" she asked. He hesitated, then let out a tired laugh. "You could say that." They talked. Not much at first, small talk, guarded words. But the more they spoke, the more real it felt. He told her about Lily, how he'd lost his wife in an accident 3 years ago, how being a father had saved him and destroyed him at the same time. Claire listened, really listened. It was strange. She'd sat in boardrooms with billionaires and never heard something that honest. He asked her about her work, and she admitted something she'd never said aloud. "Sometimes I think success is just a way to hide how empty I feel." They didn't exchange numbers that night. Just a quiet goodbye and a shared look that said they both understood something the other didn't have words for. But the next night, she came back, and he was there again, like fate had left a note for both of them at the bar. This time, their conversation ran deeper. He told her about Lily's dream of becoming an artist, how she painted stars because she said they never stopped shining. Claire smiled. "She sounds like you," she said softly. Tom shook his head. "No, she's better." Claire found herself laughing more than she had in years. He had a way of grounding her, pulling her out of her glass tower. And he, for the first time in forever, felt seen, not as a struggling dad, not as a man who'd failed to save the woman he loved, but just Tom. Then one night, he didn't come. She waited, ordered his usual drink out of habit. The bartender looked at her sympathetically. "His little girl's in the hospital," he said. "Asthma attack. He's been there all day." Something inside Claire broke open. Without thinking, she left the bar and went straight to the hospital. When she found him sitting outside Lily's room, head in his hands, she didn't say a word. She just sat beside him. He looked up, startled, but she only smiled and whispered, "You shouldn't have to go through this alone." They waited together until the doctor came out, saying Lily would be okay. Tom cried quietly, and for the first time, Claire held someone not because it was expected, but because she needed to. After that night, they became each other's anchor. Claire started visiting Lily, bringing her sketchbooks and colored pencils. The little girl adored her instantly, calling her Miss Claire with the fancy shoes. Tom started smiling again, lighter now, more hopeful. Months passed. The bar became their meeting place, not of sadness, but of beginnings. One night, Claire admitted she'd been scared to come back that second night. "I thought if I saw you again, I'd start feeling things I couldn't control." Tom smiled softly. Maybe that's the best kind of feeling. He reached for her hand, rough and warm. "You came back once," he said. "So did I. Maybe that's all love really is, showing up again." Years later, that same bar saw them return. Not as strangers, not as broken people trying to fill silence, but as a family. Lily ran ahead of them, giggling, her hair tied up in a messy bun. Claire held Tom's hand, and when the bartender saw them, he just smiled knowingly, because sometimes the loneliest souls find each other not in grand moments, but in quiet places beside half-empty glasses and hearts that refuse to give up. And when Claire looked at Tom across that familiar wooden counter, she whispered the same words that had started it all. "Rough night." He smiled. Not anymore. Because two people who'd once been lost had found something worth staying for. And maybe that's what hope really looks like, coming back again and again until the pain turns into peace.